Have you ever felt a quiet unease when you hear a medical phrase like highly lethal, even before you truly know what it means? One of my patients once shared that the hardest part was not the word itself, but the way it lingered in her mind without explanation. I want you to imagine this moment as a calm conversation, just the two of us, where nothing is rushed and nothing is meant to frighten you. My name is Dr. Evelyn Carter. I am 60 years old, and for many years I have cared for older adults and their families here in the United States. I understand why certain medical terms can feel heavy, especially later in life. Words like highly lethal can sound final and personal, even when they are not meant to be. That reaction is human, and it deserves kindness, not dismissal. This video is not here to alarm you. It is here to clarify. In medicine, the phrase highly lethal is not a prediction about you or your future. It is a scientific description based on data, patterns, and how an illness behaves in certain situations. When doctors use this language, they are speaking to one another about mechanisms and statistics, not making judgments about individual lives. Understanding that difference can bring a surprising amount of calm. From my clinical experience, I have learned that seniors process health information best when it is explained slowly and with context. The aging brain values meaning over speed. When language is explained gently, the nervous system settles. This is especially important for those living with memory changes, where emotional tone often matters more than exact words. Think of this video as a quiet place to sort through language together. You do not need to remember every detail. You only need to feel oriented and respected. We are not counting risks or weighing outcomes. We are learning how doctors think and why certain words are chosen, so they lose their power to unsettle you. In the next part, I will explain why doctors use the term highly lethal when discussing Nipah virus, and how that knowledge can actually help you feel steadier rather than more concerned. If this kind of calm, thoughtful guidance feels helpful, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to Senior Health Daily. Your support allows us to keep creating patient, respectful conversations about health, made especially for older adults who value dignity, understanding, and peace of mind. What doctors mean by highly lethal. When doctors use the phrase highly lethal, it often sounds heavier than it is meant to be. I want to begin by gently reframing that language, because words can carry weight, especially for older adults who have lived long enough to know how powerful language can feel. In medicine, highly lethal is not a personal judgment, and it is not a prediction about any one individual. It is a technical description used to help doctors understand patterns, not destinies. In simple terms, this phrase comes from observing groups, not people. Doctors look at data collected over time and across many cases. They ask how often a disease leads to serious outcomes when it is left untreated, or when it spreads in certain ways. The word lethal refers to severity in a statistical sense, not certainty in a human sense. It is about probabilities and mechanisms, not about you or your future. From my years caring for older adults, I have seen how easily this distinction can be missed. Many seniors hear the word and immediately imagine a final outcome. That reaction is understandable. Our minds naturally try to protect us by imagining worst-case scenarios. But medical language is not designed to predict individual lives. It is designed to guide systems, research, and preparation so care can improve. Doctors also use this term to communicate clearly with one another. In busy healthcare settings, precise language helps teams decide where to focus resources, training, and prevention. Calling something highly lethal signals that careful attention is needed, not that fear should take over. It helps hospitals prepare protocols, educate staff, and develop strategies that protect patients, especially those who may be more vulnerable with age. Scientifically, lethality is influenced by many factors. The way a virus interacts with the body matters. How quickly symptoms appear matters. Access to care matters. Overall health matters. When doctors summarize all of this into one term, it is meant to capture complexity, not simplify it into something frightening. For older adults, especially those living with memory changes, understanding this context is deeply important. The brain processes information more calmly when it knows why certain words are used. Emotional safety increases when language is explained, instead of left unexplored. I often remind my patients that medical words are tools. They are meant to inform decisions, not disturb peace. By understanding what doctors truly mean by highly lethal, you regain a sense of balance. The term loses its sharp edge and becomes what it was intended to be, a professional shorthand that helps care systems respond thoughtfully. When language is understood, it no longer controls the conversation. Instead, it supports clarity, dignity, and calm understanding, which are essential companions in healthy aging. How Nipah virus affects the body. To understand how Nipah virus affects the body, it helps to think in terms of a gradual process rather than a sudden event. The body does not move from healthy to seriously ill in a single step. Instead, it responds in stages, using its built-in systems to observe, adjust, and protect itself along the way. This perspective often brings comfort to older adults because it reflects how the body has adapted to challenges many times before. When the virus first enters the body, it does not immediately cause noticeable disruption. The immune system begins by recognizing something unfamiliar and quietly gathering information. Specialized cells act like messengers, signaling that attention is needed while other cells prepare to respond. During this time, many people feel normal or experience only subtle changes that are easy to overlook. This early phase is about awareness rather than damage. As the body continues to respond, the immune system increases its activity. Blood vessels may widen slightly to allow protective cells to move more freely. This is a natural biological response, designed to support healing. In some individuals, especially those with underlying health conditions, this response can feel more intense. That does not mean the body is failing. It means it is working hard, using the tools it has. In certain cases, the virus can affect organs that are particularly sensitive, including the lungs or the brain. This happens because these areas have rich blood flow and complex functions. The body's response in these regions aims to limit spread and protect vital systems. From a medical standpoint, the seriousness of illness depends on how balanced this response remains. Too little response allows illness to progress. Too strong a response can strain the body. Doctors focus on supporting balance. For older adults, this balance is especially important. Aging bodies may respond differently, not weaker, but more deliberately. Recovery may take longer, and rest becomes a powerful form of treatment. Routine, hydration, nutrition, and emotional calm all support the immune response. These everyday practices are not small details. They are foundational. In my experience, seniors often worry that biological explanations mean something is wrong with them. I want to reassure you that the body's responses are signs of intelligence, not fragility. Even when illness is serious, the body is actively engaged in protection and repair. Understanding how Nipah virus affects the body step by step removes mystery. It replaces fear with familiarity. When the process is clear, the mind feels steadier. And when the mind is calm, the body is better supported in doing what it has always done, adapting with patience, resilience, and dignity. Why the brain is often involved. When we talk about the brain, it is natural for older adults to listen more closely. The brain holds our memories, our sense of self, and the rhythms that guide our daily routines. I want to explain this part gently, because understanding why the brain can be involved does not mean expecting harm. It means appreciating how carefully the body works to protect what matters most. The brain is richly supplied with blood because it needs constant oxygen and nutrients to function well. That steady flow is a strength, but it also means that anything traveling through the bloodstream can reach the brain more easily than other areas. This is not unique to one virus. It is simply part of how the body prioritizes the brain's needs. When the immune system detects something unfamiliar, it pays close attention to protecting this vital organ. Another reason the brain can be affected is its sensitivity. The brain communicates through finely balanced signals. Even small changes in inflammation or blood flow can influence how clearly those signals travel. This does not mean damage is inevitable. It means the brain notices changes quickly and responds in ways that aim to preserve balance. Doctors watch these responses closely so they can support stability rather than disruption. For older adults, this explanation often brings relief. Many people worry that involvement of the brain automatically leads to lasting problems. In reality, the brain has remarkable capacity to adapt, especially when it is supported by calm surroundings, familiar routines, and patient care. Emotional safety plays a powerful role here. A calm environment reduces strain on the nervous system and allows the brain to focus on regulation and recovery. This is especially meaningful for those living with memory changes. Dementia does not remove the brain's ability to feel comfort or reassurance. In fact, emotional cues become even more important. Gentle voices, predictable schedules, and familiar faces help the brain stay oriented. When medical care respects these needs, outcomes are often steadier. From my experience, I have seen how quickly agitation can settle when a patient feels understood and unhurried. That response is biological as much as emotional. The brain responds to safety by slowing stress signals and conserving energy for healing. Understanding why the brain is often involved helps replace fear with respect. It reminds us that the brain is not fragile glass. It is a responsive, adaptive organ that benefits greatly from patience and thoughtful care. When we support the brain with calm and dignity, we support the whole person. Why fatality rates matter to doctors. When doctors talk about fatality rates, they are not trying to predict outcomes for individuals. They are trying to understand patterns so care can be safer and more effective. Numbers in medicine are tools. They help guide preparation, research, and decision-making at a population level. When shared responsibly, they inform without overwhelming. A fatality rate tells doctors how often a severe outcome has occurred within a specific group, under specific conditions, and during a specific period of time. It does not describe what will happen to one person sitting in front of us. This distinction matters, especially for older adults who may hear a number and quietly place themselves inside it. That is not how these figures are meant to be used. From a clinical standpoint, these rates help doctors anticipate needs. They inform how hospitals train staff, allocate resources, and design protocols. If a disease has been associated with more severe outcomes in certain settings, doctors respond by strengthening monitoring and support. The goal is prevention and readiness, not alarm. Numbers help medicine move thoughtfully rather than reactively. I have often explained to my patients that medicine uses statistics the way navigation uses maps. A map does not tell you exactly how your walk will go today. It shows the terrain so you can prepare. Fatality rates show where extra care may be needed. They help doctors ask better questions and provide steadier guidance. There is also an ethical responsibility in discussing these figures. Doctors must balance transparency with emotional safety. Sharing numbers without context can create unnecessary distress. Avoiding them entirely can leave people confused. Responsible communication means explaining what the number represents, what it does not represent, and why it is being mentioned at all. That clarity supports trust. For seniors, trust is foundational. Older adults often want to understand why certain topics are discussed, and others are not. When doctors explain fatality rates calmly and in context, it reassures patients that information is being shared with care. It reinforces the idea that nothing is being hidden and nothing is being exaggerated. In dementia care, this careful framing becomes even more important. Emotional tone carries meaning when details fade. A calm explanation delivered with patience can remain comforting even if the number itself is forgotten. The brain remembers how it felt to be respected and guided gently. Fatality rates matter to doctors because they help improve care for everyone. When patients understand why these numbers exist and how they are used, anxiety often softens. Knowledge becomes a source of steadiness rather than worry. That steadiness allows both patients and caregivers to focus on what truly supports health, routine, and dignity. Understanding why severity varies helps older adults release self-judgment. It invites patience and compassion toward the body. When we respect individual differences and provide care that honors them, outcomes are often steadier. More importantly, the person feels seen and supported. That sense of dignity is as vital to health as any treatment, and it remains one of the most powerful tools we have in caring for one another. Before we continue, I want to invite you into a quiet pause. Not a pause because something is wrong, but a pause because learning deserves space to settle. Health information can touch deep places, especially for older adults who carry years of experiences, responsibilities, and memories. Taking a moment to breathe allows the body to stay grounded and the mind to feel safe. Over the years, I have learned that people heal better when they feel accompanied. Knowledge feels lighter when it is shared within a caring community. Many seniors tell me that what helps them most is knowing they are not alone in their questions. When understanding unfolds slowly and respectfully, it becomes a source of reassurance rather than pressure. Senior Health Daily was created with this exact intention. It is meant to feel familiar, like returning to a place where the tone remains steady and the explanations remain kind. A place where you are never rushed to react or decide. A place where routine supports calm and patience supports dignity. This sense of continuity is especially important as we age, and it is deeply supportive for those living with memory changes who benefit from repetition and emotional safety. I want to speak to you directly now, not as an instruction, but as a gentle invitation. I'm Dr. Evelyn Carter from Senior Health Daily. If this video has helped you better understand your health, please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing Senior Health Daily. Your support truly encourages us to continue creating calm, helpful, and trustworthy health content made especially for you. When you subscribe or share, you are not just clicking a button. You are helping build a circle of people who value thoughtful explanation over urgency. You are helping someone else find a calm voice when health topics feel overwhelming. Many viewers tell me they return here not because they are anxious, but because they feel steady and respected. Community matters as much as information. Familiar voices and familiar rhythms can lower stress and support emotional balance. For caregivers, this space offers reassurance that care can be compassionate and clear at the same time. For seniors, it offers a place to return whenever questions arise, without fear of being judged or hurried. Take this pause as a reminder that learning does not have to be heavy. You are part of a community that values patience, understanding, and kindness. When you feel ready, we will continue together, carrying this same sense of calm forward, honoring your health, your experience, and your dignity every step of the way. Why doctors warn without wanting to frighten. When doctors speak about warnings, our intention is often misunderstood. A warning in medicine is not meant to alarm or to create urgency for its own sake. It is a way of honoring responsibility. We warn because we care, and because clear information helps people make sense of what they are hearing and seeing without confusion filling the gaps. In my years of practice, I have learned that silence can be more unsettling than explanation. When something is serious but left unexplained, the mind begins to imagine possibilities that are often far worse than reality. A thoughtful warning places information in context. It names what deserves attention while also explaining what does not. That balance protects emotional safety, especially for older adults who value steadiness and clarity. There is an important difference between warning and frightening. Frightening language rushes the listener and strips away control. It focuses on extremes and leaves little room for understanding. A medical warning, when delivered responsibly, does the opposite. It slows the pace. It explains why certain terms are used and how they guide preparation and care. It invites questions rather than shutting them down. Doctors also have a duty to protect trust. If we avoid difficult topics entirely, people may feel misled later. Trust is built when information is shared honestly and gently, even when the subject is complex. For seniors, trust grows when they sense that nothing is being hidden and nothing is being exaggerated. That sense of fairness matters deeply as we age. From a scientific standpoint, warnings help systems function smoothly. They allow hospitals to train staff, refine routines, and coordinate care. They are signals for readiness, not predictions of harm. When doctors warn, they are often speaking to the system as much as to the public, ensuring that everyone remains attentive and prepared. For individuals living with memory changes, the way a warning is delivered matters more than the content itself. A calm tone, familiar language, and repeated reassurance help the brain stay regulated. Emotional memory holds on to how information felt long after details fade. When warnings are framed with compassion, they do not linger as fear. They settle as understanding. I often tell my patients that a warning is like a lighthouse. It does not create the rocks in the water. It simply helps guide the path safely around them. The purpose is navigation, not panic. When seniors understand this difference, they often feel relieved rather than distressed. Doctors warn because prevention and preparation save lives. We do so with the hope that understanding will replace anxiety. When warnings are shared with patience and respect, they become part of caring communication. They support dignity, informed trust, and a sense of calm that allows people to move forward, feeling steady and supported. How emotional safety changes. Health outcomes. Emotional safety is not a soft concept. It has real effects on the body, especially as we age. I have seen again and again that when people understand what is happening to them, their bodies respond differently. Understanding reduces anxiety, and reduced anxiety allows the body to use its energy for balance and recovery rather than for constant alertness. When the mind feels uncertain, the nervous system stays on guard. Heart rate rises, sleep becomes lighter, and muscles hold tension. Over time, this state can strain the immune system and slow healing. For older adults, whose bodies already work a little harder to maintain balance, this extra strain matters. Emotional safety helps release it. When explanations are clear and calm, the body receives a quiet signal that it can rest. Knowledge plays a central role here. When seniors understand why doctors use certain words or recommend certain steps, fear loses its grip. The brain no longer needs to imagine missing pieces. Instead, it can focus on what is known and what is being done. This shift supports steadier breathing, more regular sleep, and better appetite. These are not small details. They are foundations of recovery. This connection becomes even more important for those living with memory changes. Dementia affects how information is stored, but it does not remove the ability to feel safety. In fact, emotional cues often become the primary language the brain understands. A calm explanation, even if forgotten later, leaves behind a feeling of reassurance. That feeling can guide behavior and comfort long after words fade. In caregiving settings, I have watched agitation soften simply because the environment felt predictable and kind. Familiar routines, gentle voices, and patient pacing help the brain stay oriented. When emotional safety is present, the body spends less time reacting and more time regulating. That regulation supports immune function and overall resilience. From a scientific perspective, this makes sense. The stress response releases hormones that prepare the body for immediate action. That response is useful in emergencies, but when it remains active too long, it interferes with healing. Emotional safety signals the opposite. It tells the body that it can conserve energy and focus inward. For older adults, this conservation is a powerful ally. Families often ask me what they can do beyond medical treatment. I tell them that creating a calm emotional environment is not secondary care. It is essential care. Listening patiently, repeating explanations without frustration, and maintaining routines all contribute to better outcomes. When understanding replaces anxiety, the body follows. Healing becomes more efficient. Comfort increases. Dignity is preserved. Emotional safety does not cure illness, but it changes the conditions in which the body responds, and those conditions can make all the difference, especially later in life when patience, clarity, and reassurance are as important as any medicine. How emotional safety changes. Health outcomes. Emotional safety is not a soft concept. It has real effects on the body, especially as we age. I have seen again and again that when people understand what is happening to them, their bodies respond differently. Understanding reduces anxiety, and reduced anxiety allows the body to use its energy for balance and recovery rather than for constant alertness. When the mind feels uncertain, the nervous system stays on guard. Heart rate rises, sleep becomes lighter, and muscles hold tension. Over time, this state can strain the immune system and slow healing. For older adults, whose bodies already work a little harder to maintain balance, this extra strain matters. Emotional safety helps release it. When explanations are clear and calm, the body receives a quiet signal that it can rest. Knowledge plays a central role here. When seniors understand why doctors use certain words or recommend certain steps, fear loses its grip. The brain no longer needs to imagine missing pieces. Instead, it can focus on what is known and what is being done. This shift supports steadier breathing, more regular sleep, and better appetite. These are not small details. They are foundations of recovery. This connection becomes even more important for those living with memory changes. Dementia affects how information is stored, but it does not remove the ability to feel safety. In fact, emotional cues often become the primary language the brain understands. A calm explanation, even if forgotten later, leaves behind a feeling of reassurance. That feeling can guide behavior and comfort long after words fade. In caregiving settings, I have watched agitation soften simply because the environment felt predictable and kind. Familiar routines, gentle voices, and patient pacing help the brain stay oriented. When emotional safety is present, the body spends less time reacting and more time regulating. That regulation supports immune function and overall resilience. From a scientific perspective, this makes sense. The stress response releases hormones that prepare the body for immediate action. That response is useful in emergencies, but when it remains active too long, it interferes with healing. Emotional safety signals the opposite. It tells the body that it can conserve energy and focus inward. For older adults, this conservation is a powerful ally. Families often ask me what they can do beyond medical treatment. I tell them that creating a calm emotional environment is not secondary care. It is essential care. Listening patiently, repeating explanations without frustration, and maintaining routines all contribute to better outcomes. When understanding replaces anxiety, the body follows. Healing becomes more efficient. Comfort increases. Dignity is preserved. Emotional safety does not cure illness, but it changes the conditions in which the body responds, and those conditions can make all the difference, especially later in life when patience, clarity, and reassurance are as important as any medicine. What seniors gain by understanding the science. When older adults understand the science behind medical language and decisions, something important is restored. They regain a sense of dignity, autonomy, and calm. Understanding is not about mastering details or memorizing facts. It is about feeling oriented in one's own care and respected as a capable participant in the conversation. I have often seen how confusion quietly erodes confidence. When terms are unfamiliar or explanations feel rushed, seniors may defer, withdraw, or doubt their own instincts. Clear understanding reverses that pattern. When the science is explained in plain language and placed in context, older adults feel grounded. They can ask questions without hesitation and express preferences without fear of being misunderstood. Autonomy grows from this clarity. Knowing why doctors use certain words or recommend certain approaches allows seniors to make choices that align with their values and routines. Even when options are limited, understanding gives people a voice. That voice matters. It reinforces the idea that care is something done with them, not to them. Calm follows naturally. The mind rests more easily when it does not have to fill in gaps with worry. Many seniors tell me that once they understand the reasons behind medical decisions, they sleep better and feel less tense. This calm is not passive. It supports steadier breathing, clearer thinking, and better daily functioning. For those managing chronic conditions, calm can make routines easier to maintain and symptoms easier to notice early. For individuals living with memory changes, understanding still has value, even if details fade. The feeling of being included and respected remains. Emotional memory holds on to the tone of conversations and the sense of safety they provide. When science is explained gently and repeated patiently, it builds a foundation of trust that supports cooperation and comfort over time. Understanding also protects dignity during vulnerable moments. Medical settings can feel disempowering, especially later in life. When seniors know what is happening and why, they feel less exposed. They retain a sense of self within the process. That sense of self is central to healthy aging. I often remind families that explaining does not take away hope. It strengthens it. Knowledge shared with care allows seniors to stand on firmer ground. They move forward not with fear, but with steadiness. Understanding the science gives older adults something back that is deeply human. It gives them ownership of their experience, confidence in their voice, and the calm that comes from being truly seen and heard. Why knowledge should calm, not burden. As we bring these ideas together, I want to leave you with a simple truth. Medical knowledge, when shared with care, is a form of support. It is not meant to sit heavily on your shoulders or ask you to carry more than you already do. At its best, knowledge is a quiet companion that helps you feel steadier and more oriented in your own body. Over the years, I have seen how easily information can become a burden when it arrives without context or compassion. Facts delivered too quickly or without explanation can leave older adults feeling responsible for outcomes they do not control. That is not care. True care respects the limits of what a person needs to hold in any given moment. It offers understanding without urgency and clarity without pressure. When knowledge is shared thoughtfully, it does something different. It reassures the nervous system. It tells the mind that nothing is being hidden and nothing is being exaggerated. This sense of transparency builds trust. Trust allows the body to relax. And when the body relaxes, it can focus on balance, rest, and healing rather than constant vigilance. For seniors, this approach is especially important. Later in life, energy is precious. Emotional reserves matter. Information should help conserve those reserves, not drain them. When medical explanations are calm and paced, they support routine rather than disrupt it. They fit into daily life instead of overshadowing it. For those living with memory changes, knowledge still plays a role even when details fade. The feeling of being guided gently remains. Emotional memory remembers tone, patience, and kindness. When information is shared without burden, it leaves behind reassurance rather than confusion. That reassurance supports dignity and cooperation long after specific facts are forgotten. I often remind patients and families that understanding does not mean doing more. Sometimes it simply means resting more comfortably with what is already known. Knowledge can be a soft place to land. It can help you trust your body, trust your caregivers, and trust the process of care itself. When medical knowledge calms rather than burdens, it becomes part of healing. It honors the whole person, not just the condition. It respects your pace, your history, and your right to feel safe while learning. That is the kind of knowledge I believe in. Knowledge that supports peace of mind, preserves dignity, and walks beside you with patience and care. As we come to the end of our time together, I want to slow everything down and simply say thank you. Thank you for staying with me until the very end. Thank you for listening with patience and care. In today's world, choosing to listen and understand is a quiet strength, especially as we grow older. For today, understanding is enough. You do not need to take action. You do not need to worry about what comes next. You have already done something meaningful by giving yourself the space to learn calmly. Your body and mind respond best when they are not rushed, and there is wisdom in allowing information to settle gently rather than pressing for answers right away. Throughout my years as a physician, I have learned that medical knowledge should never feel like a burden. Its purpose is to guide and reassure, not to weigh heavily on your thoughts. When information feels too loud or confusing, it loses its value. True understanding brings orientation and peace. It helps you trust the process of care and trust yourself within it. Senior Health Daily is here for moments like this. It is a place you can return to whenever health topics feel overwhelming or unclear. There is no urgency here and no expectation to keep up. Only steady guidance, shared with respect, whenever you need it. Think of this space as a familiar chair you can sit in again, knowing the tone will remain calm and the conversation will remain kind. As you move forward, I hope you carry a sense of gratitude for your body and all it has carried you through. Aging is not something to fix. It is a journey that deserves patience, dignity, and trust. Your body holds a quiet wisdom shaped by years of living, adapting, and enduring. Thank you for allowing me to be part of your day. I look forward to being here with you again on Senior Health Daily, walking alongside you with care, respect, and calm companionship.